Hello everyone, blessed Imbolc, and yeah, we're having a really big snowstorm up here in New England, and it's like just a very quiet, chill day. It's very much winter, but of course we're opening up to the energy with the Sabbath of new beginning, like for me, as the years go by as a witch, there's definitely this feeling of, you've been feeding this flame within yourself through the darkness, and now you're starting to move that out into the world. And so what does that look like? What creative um, impulses are you feeling called to work with? Where are you experiencing a sense of fertility? Kind of like just like the faint embers of those things coming to life again, and you're really feeling that. So even though it's the dead of winter here in New Hampshire still, tapping into that energy with a really good cup of hot chocolate feels pretty awesome. So that's the mood today, and I just haven't done a witchy chat video in forever, so I thought it would be kind of fun to do one with you guys. So I'm going to share a little bit about, I'll do a separate video on the decks I've been using, because I know you guys like seasonal deck videos. So I'm going to do a separate video on that. This is just kind of witchy musings, talking about my path, and I'm going to share a little bit about what I've been reading. And then I figured I would pull a card for us for Imbolc. If you're looking just maybe for some inspiration, stepping into the energy of, moving through the crossroads into the next space. So, yeah, I think it's been a long winter for everyone. And definitely, at least here stateside, there's been a sense of uncertainty. And I think that moves us to, for some of us, it moves us to look within, and for some of us, it encourages more of an outward expression of understanding or awareness. And so I think at least how I've been feeling, and on my path is, what I've been seeing is we're either feeling called to move more into the energy of fear, or to express explore at an even deeper level what it looks like to open up to authenticity, vulnerability, and love, to get even, to take off even more layers if that's possible. So I've been looking at that a lot on my own. And of course, Imbolc being associated with Brehid or Bridget, however you prefer to say her name, and coming back to that sense of sacred flame and fire and that light within. How are we, how do we feel it? How are we opening up to the exploration of it? Even before we're going to shine it or see that we're shining it out there in the world, like how are we also feeling in regards to that within ourselves? So I have been sitting with that personally as well on my journey as a witch. And I will say that connecting with the Kali Oracle has definitely relit a fire within myself as well in working with the sacred feminine. And in these, expressions of the goddess that are also fierce and fiery as well, but have an ability to be soft and non-judgmental and open and accepting. So that has really been feeding my inner flame through the month of January, which I think personally for me was pretty intense, and I'm sure for many of you as well. There may have been a sense of, I think more and more the older I get too, I see like we're not really in control of anything. We want to think that like we can make things move or be a certain way, and life kind of has different plans for us. So sometimes we're moved along in ways that we may have been fighting against, or we really weren't expecting to go. And yet I think the way to move through that, the most healthy way, is by being open, and being present, and many times coming back to the breath as well, to our breathing, to that container that holds that sacred flame. And how can we feel a sense of presence and safety even when times feel confronting or concerning? So that's been a lot of what I've been exploring on my personal path, and I think we also see the longer we're on our spiritual journeys, for those of us who identify as witches, for those of us who walk a left-hand path, which yes, I will be doing another video on the left-hand path, and how I experienced that in my life. I do have a series of interviews on the channel with another witch who also is a left-hand pather. And we both speak about the nuances of our paths. It is from about 5 years ago now. But I'll post the links to those in the description box below, so that if you're interested in seeing that in the meantime, that can offer you a perspective as well. I mean, my path has certainly expanded and grown and shifted since then too, so I'm happy to offer another video. But I do have, there is some content on the channel discussing a left-hand path, side note. But I think also when we're walking a left-hand path, or even if we don't identify as that, if we identify as witches or someone on an alternative path, there is a power that comes to those times of laying fallow. And I think we realize the more that we're following a path, the more that we walk a path that is linked with nature and the earth, that there are those times of laying fallow where the ground sleeps. And there is that pause and that exhale, and we are interacting with the death card. And so I think I'm recently coming out of one of those spaces personally on my spiritual path as well. I'm starting to feel really invigorated about being more active in that energy. And that's a beautiful thing the longer that you're on your path as well. Those times when you do need to lie fallow, when you do, whether it's your body or whatever aspect of your life that's calling for you to kind of take a break and to maybe just sleep for a little bit, that type of energy is actually a gift. And the more that we start to trust our path and our experiences as well, and deity, and the faces of the divine, we know that we're going to come back to a time of creative abundance, spiritual abundance. Those times of laying fallow, there's big work that happens there. Those times of resting, of pause, allowing for those times in our life really is magical and important. It's as important as being super active in our path too. So those are some musings about my own personal journey. I know in the readings I've done, so many of us are really looking within, looking at our soul purpose, trying to understand what we're here to, why we're experiencing what we're experiencing, what we're here to do, and to embody and to embrace while we're in this body, on this journey, in this planet. And also I have seen quite a few people looking at relationships and, how they keep experiencing shadow in relationships. And when you experience that repeatedly and you see the pattern, how do you start to open up to shadow work and integration there? So I've certainly seen that more at a community level as a reader and a witch and a priestess for my community, for those who are drawn to work with me. We're exploring, allowing ourselves to clear away that which keeps us separate from our experience of the divine and from the divine itself and the divine within us. So that's been pretty cool, and I've been enjoying that. So I'm just going to take a quick sip here, guys. Do you like my little bat mug? I felt appropriate for today. Okay, anyhow, I would say, the Kali Oracle has really been just profound. I've just loved working with her. So for witchy reads for right now, some of you know that I do follow Matt Kahn's work. I'm not like a diehard Matt Kahn fan, but I have found a lot of his teachings to be helpful in dealing with PTSD and trauma within my own body and finding ways of experiencing balance. And because his teachings are so gentle, they can really dovetail and work with any spiritual path. So, I can still be a witch and enjoy some of his teachings. So I have been reading The Universe Always Has a Plan, the 10 Golden Rules of Letting Go. I think you guys can see I've got like tons of notes going on there. This has been personally really healing for myself. And I've been getting a lot out of this, especially in coming back to the breath and feeling safe in the body as well. And that allowing for expansion and in presence on our path. So this has been a really good read for me. I've also been rereading the Mary L. Tarot Landscapes of the Abyss guidebook, guys. This guidebook is like, it's very similar to Phantasmagoria in that every time I read it, I'm like, to be honest, I'm about to swear, holy shit, I forgot, like, I didn't see that the first time like, the first or the last time I read it. I didn't pick up on that. I'm making this whole new connection there. And that's been really reinvigorating for myself as a tarot reader, too. You know, when you've been reading for a while, you can really get stuck in your ways as a reader, and you're like, well, this card always means this card means that. Like, I've got my shorthand down. I'm good. I know what's going on here. But then when you read a guidebook like the Mary L. Tarot or Phantasmagoria, or you work with a deck that's a little bit confronting, it really like pushes your perception, and then you're like, wow, I actually, like, I've got to go back to the drawing board with this card. I was really reading and experiencing it this way, but I'm actually seeing there's a whole other side to this that I hadn't necessarily explored as a reader. And so that's been really exciting. And, you know, as time goes by and I heal my own woundings from Christian mythology and from religious dogma, revisiting her references to some of the biblical works that she makes connections with in this deck has actually been really inspiring this time around, instead of bringing up my knee-jerk reaction to anytime I see quotation of scripture. So, and that's not as I said, I'm experiencing a lot of healing as I think I've been in recovery. I've been a recovering Christian for my whole life. In regards to the religious dogma that I was raised in a cult, and in a cult, excuse me, not a cult, in a cult. And as time is going by, that's softening, and there's the Gnostic Gospels have been really healing for me over the last 7 years in releasing a lot of that knee-jerk kind of triggered reaction. So revisiting the Mary L. Tarot Landscapes of the Abyss guidebook has just been joyful. I've been reading it cover to cover like a book, and just really getting inspired and reinvigorated that way as well. So that kind of, you know, prompted me to kind of go back into my occult roots too, because she references Thoth a lot there, and I've been working with Thoth a little bit again, and so that really gets me into like my study knowledge space. And that kind of makes me want to go back and look at, you know, tenets or foundations of my self as a witch, books that I started to read back at the beginning, or that I was reading back at the beginning of my journey as a witch when I first started embracing that. And one of my very dear, very gifted friends, she sent me a copy of Psychic Self-Defense by Dion Fortune. And this is interesting to go back into these things and to reread sometimes, even if you don't agree with everything, if you don't find that everything works for you. This is by no means me like endorsing everything that's said in this book or anything like that. It's much like reading any of those older books. There's wisdom to extract, and you can also see clearly where there might be areas in which you diverge from that path. But I like being prompted to think differently. I like to be confronted. I am a shadow work girl. I have a shit ton of Scorpio in my chart. Like, I like to be pushed. I like to be confronted. I like to go in all the way. And so books like this will really get me going, and you know, cause me to journal and think and kind of uncover things and discover for myself at an even deeper level what my personal magic is for me, and where my ethics are as a witch, and what I'm exploring and opening up to on my path as a priestess as well. So yeah, so that's kind of a little insight into what I've been looking at. I haven't been reading any fiction right now. I've really been called to go back to the basics with my tarot books, insofar as my darker tarot books, my deeper tarot books, exploring that wisdom and finding a lot of sweet within that for myself has been really, really encouraging and inspiring. And then, of course, books like Psychic Self-Defense and treasures like that, that, again, are making you think, that are causing you to look at something differently. I just find so much to be really, really grateful for in those experiences. And so that's been really beautiful as well. And like I said, I am going to do Imbolc into Beltane video on my favorite decks. You guys know that I will do that. I never leave you guys high and dry with those videos. Yeah, so, and also, I am offering in March a workshop, a smaller workshop than last time, but an online workshop on working with three faces of the Divine Feminine, Sacred Feminine, and opening up to, you know, the empowerment of the liminal space between horizons. So I would say in my personal work as a witch too, journeying with those faces of the goddess has really opened me up to the worlds within myself, which has been very exciting to come back to. You know, sometimes when you're a full-time healer and a full-time mom, and there just isn't, you can forget that that magic is dwelling within you. So if you're feeling like, I don't know, like you've lost that magic within yourself, or where is it, it used to feel so infinite and all of a sudden it feels very finite. Connecting with an aspect of the sacred feminine or the sacred masculine can really assist you in like plumbing those depths within yourself. So that's been a little bit of my own personal witchy journey as 2021 has started. So I thought I would end our time together by drawing a card for us. It just felt appropriate today. It's one of those Sabbats that just feels really, really magical, and like those, the veils between these realms are so thin, and we can just, you know, peek right through and go on an adventure and come back with some wisdom. So I'm going to use the Isis Oracle today because I'm just feeling her today. And let's just see what we get for a card for all of us. Ooh, Life Restored, Priestess of the Phoenix. I couldn't have like chosen a better card for right now, right? This card and that energy of that regenerative energy of Isis, and the regenerative, energy of the Phoenix, as well as the power of the Scarab, really encourage us to open up to that aspect of rebirth within each and every one of us. So not just the death, but the rebirth aspect as well. And so we can see with Life Restored that this is a time to open up to new, to explore aspects of ourselves perhaps, or our experience in new ways, to look at ourselves differently, to open up to a fresh perspective, and also to honor for ourselves just how far we've come on our journeys. You know, maybe today you just pause and light a candle and take a moment just to honor where and how you've grown in your life over the last year or so, and who you are now, what you're experiencing and exploring now, and how you can open up to that experience without needing to have a filter or a safety mechanism engaged all the time. This card also speaks to feeling that sense of, you know, fire and flame within us as well, to feel ignited by passion and by the understanding, the knowing within of our ability to grow, to master something, and then to move forward into the next experience. And so we can really see that with the Life Restored card. She's a really, really beautiful, powerful card. And so her message is one of rebirth. So if you are feeling lost at this time, all is not lost. You're not going to be alone forever in trying to figure out, you know, yourself and your experience. This card is a blessing that you're stepping into a new experience of empowerment on your path and understanding. And if you're feeling like, wow, you know, I am pretty badass, like I really have done a lot of growth, and I'm feeling myself right now, then this card is also a blessing, letting you know that that feeling is going to move you forward into expression, self-expression and creative expression in new ways at this time. So it's a beautiful card for us. Perfect for Imbolc. Thank you to Our Lady Isis. Please know I am sending you all so much love and so many blessings. It's such an honor to continue to connect with you all in this sense of community as the years have gone by. And it's just a joy to share the experience with you all. So I'm sending you so much love and many blessings, my dears. I will see you in the next video.